You're nothing without an aim assist. Controller in Apex is cheating. Welcome in, guys. This video is going to fully explain ALCs and help you to truly understand how to alter them in order to find the best settings for you. My channel is all about helping you to improve at Apex Legends, so if you're interested in guides, tips, gameplay, and entertainment, then be sure to subscribe to the channel so we can get you on that championship banner. And without further ado, let's hop right into the video. So first and foremost, I just wanted to provide my experience with the different sensitivities in Apex. Now, when finding your settings and adjusting them, you need to take FOV into account at the very beginning. If you change your FOV, your sensitivity and aim is affected. So this video can help you step by step so you can pick the perfect numbers for you. Now, if you're throwing in changing FOVs and changing your sensitivities, there's just going to be too many different variables when you're trying to find your perfect settings. So let's go over FOV first. Now, there's a couple pros and cons with each setting, whether that's a lower FOV or a higher FOV. If you play on a TV or if you struggle to see enemies, then you might want to lower your FOV. The pros to having a lower FOV is that your targets are much larger, and since that target's larger, aim assist catches that target easier while you're aiming. When you have a larger FOV, like 100 or more than that, you're able to have more recoil control and stabilize recoil a bit better, and your awareness and peripheral vision increase so you can see the battlefield and environment much easier. Now that we have your FOV selected, I want to quickly go over the in-game default settings, and then we'll go over every single ALC setting as well. If you're a casual player, say you play a couple times a week for a few hours, I would recommend using a 4-3 or 4-4 classic low dead zone setup. These settings are catered to allow you to track enemies pretty easily, and you'll feel sticky aim assist with these settings. Some Apex pros like TSM Verlhust, they play on these classic 4-3 settings, so you can use that and be successful. But let's get into the ALCs because you can fine tune your settings. Now, first up, let's go over the dead zone. Now, this setting is one of the most important ALC settings in Apex Legends. Dead zone is responsible for when your input is going to get registered. So having a lower dead zone means that you will register your input as soon as you move your stick. But if you're using an older or cheaper controller, then there'll be a slight stick drift when it's lowered all the way. Make sure you lower your dead zone to 0% and then slowly increase it until you have a little bit of sway. A little bit of stick drift is okay since your thumb's going to be on the thumbstick when you're aiming anyway, and it's going to be extremely responsive. On the other hand, if you have a higher dead zone, your input will be registered way later than recommended, and you'll have a lot more inconsistencies with your aim, so lower dead zone is usually always the right move. The outer threshold is pretty straightforward. Pick what feels comfortable from 1 to 3%. This is just the boundary of your max stick input, and 1 to 3% is the sweet spot. The response curve next plays a crucial role in your aim's accuracy. Although this setting is explained in the top right corner, the explanation does not tell you what it does or how important it really is. Simply put, the response curve setting is responsible for the speed at which your reticle moves after you move your thumbstick. 0 to 1 will resemble a linear response curve, which this basically mimics how a mouse will aim for mouse and keyboard. You can see that with the input, the joystick speed of your crosshair always moves at a consistent and linear pace. 0 or 1 is the highest ceiling in the game. In a perfect world, everyone would play on 0 to 1 as you have the most control over your joysticks. However, if you find it's difficult to control and aim with a lower response curve, the classic feel or setting is a response curve of 10. With the classic response curve, the game will help you a little bit more with tracking and following targets. However, you're not going to have that snappy aim or that quick flick to your targets. Since with classic you can see the input has a ramp up over time to get to that max input. I recommend starting at the classic response curve since this is what most players feel comfortable on, and then try and lower the response curve until you feel comfortable with your aiming. There's a lot of pros to mastering the linear settings since you're able to be much quicker and responsive, and you can master recoil much better. Now recently I've been playing at a response curve of 5 as I've been trying to get that more raw input feel with my aim. I'm considering bumping it down to 4 to get closer to linear, but 5 has resembled that steady response curve and has been really good with both tracking and flicking to targets quickly. The per optic settings, typically you want to slowly increase the multiplier as the zoom level increases since the optics feel slower as you move up in size. These are what I've been currently using if you want to test out these and see how they feel. Pitch and yaw speed settings are probably the most straightforward ALC settings. The yaw speed does what it tells you in game, the speed at which you look left and right, and then the pitch speed is responsible for the speed at which you look up and down. Though both settings are pretty similar, they don't have to be identical. You look left and right a lot more than you look up and down, so having yaw speed slightly higher than pitch speed is very reasonable. But at the same time, those who want that picture perfect accuracy or want that mouse and key feel should have both these settings maxed out at equal levels. I recommend trying out values between 500 and 150. I recommend you start in the 150 range and move it up as you feel comfortable. The extra yaw and pitch are confusing, but they play a major role in accuracy. Many Apex Legends players don't understand these settings, and they're important in the ALCs. First, you should know exactly what these settings are. Now, simply put, they are a boost for the pitch and yaw speed, but that boost kicks in when you hit the limit of that normal yaw speed or pitch speed. For example, if you have 250 yaw speed and 250 extra yaw, then you will hit your max threshold or speed at 250, and then that extra yaw will kick in to ramp up your speed to 500 because that 250 normal plus the 250 extra will equal 500. There are two ways to utilize these settings. The first is to completely turn them off and keep the pitch and yaw speed as high as possible for you to handle. And then the second way is by keeping pitch and yaw speed at a reasonable amount and then having a bit of extra pitch and yaw. Keep in mind that aim assist is not affected by extra yaw and pitch, so aim assist will slow down as you reach a target, meaning if you want to run slower sensitivities but be able to quickly track your target, you can use these settings to have a slower ADS yaw or pitch and then ramp up your extra yaw so that you can quickly track those targets, and then your aim assist will slow it down when you do get your crosshairs on that target. Now lastly, I recommend keeping the turning ramp up time and delay at 0%. Due to these settings, they really just create inconsistencies in your aim. Now these are my current settings. I just wanted to give you all more of a breakdown so you know exactly how to adjust your settings, because I feel like a lot of people just share their settings, but they don't always work for everyone, and I want you guys to know how you can adjust these to get the perfect aim for you. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments down below, and I'll catch you on the next video. I'm Grizzy, and I'm out. Peace. I couldn't get the freaking craver.